Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, every day in Tasmania, at venues across this state, in areas of socio-economic disadvantage, for example, up in my electorate of Clark in Glenorchy, people who don't have money to spare are pouring that money into one of the 2,500 electronic gaming machines in our community. And we know that, Madam Speaker, the money that goes into those machines primarily comes from people who have a problem with gambling, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, we thought it was important today that this parliament have a debate about gambling policy in Tasmania. It was certainly an issue that was front and centre during the last state election campaign, and it is an issue on which Tasmanians have a great deal of interest. And while the Premier can stand up in here this morning and say that Tasmanians overwhelmingly endorsed the Liberals' policy on gambling at the last state election, that is simply untrue, Madam Speaker, and we know that's untrue because of the makeup of the numbers in this House and the fact that the Labor Party unquestionably secured votes off the back of their principled position on the removal of poker machines from pubs and clubs. So poker machines, public concern about their social and economic impacts, certainly influenced the way people voted, Madam Speaker. Now, when we talk about gambling policy in Tasmania, the Treasurer yesterday made it very clear that the Liberals' policy is to extend the socio-economic harm of poker machines in our community out to the year 2048. The policy is to move towards an individual licensing model, which is exactly the model, of course, that the Tasmanian Hospitality Association and the federal group took to the parliamentary inquiry into gambling reform in Tasmania. And we know, because of the evidence that was put forward by the THA and Mr Farrell, that the individual licensing model would overnight lead to a significant increase in the value of venues and also increase the take for those venue operators from the current keeping some 30% of the revenue to around 50% of the revenue that goes into those machines, Madam Speaker. So we know the Liberals' policy. The Liberals' policy is all about the industry. The Liberals' policy has been bought by the industry. The Liberals' policy will embed harm in our community to 2048. And we also know that the Liberals' policy, when they were in opposition, was to have $1 bet limits in Tasmania. Now, Madam Speaker, if Tasmania had $1 bet limits, the harm that is caused by poker machines in our community would be considerably reduced. But that was a policy the Liberals walked away from after the 2010 state election, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, it is a matter of historical record that the Labor Party, after years of taking donations from the federal group, after taking their marching orders from Greg Farrell and the THA, finally took a position of principle late in 2017 and said that its policy was to remove poker machines from pubs and clubs. And that was an extraordinarily brave and principled position for the Labor Party to take, Madam Speaker, and it was on the basis of that position that many of people who'd previously voted Green, for example, voted for the Labor Party this time around. Well, I tell you what, Madam Speaker, there are some people wandering around out there who sure do have buyer's regret. They actually believed the Labor Party and the Leader of the Opposition, Rebecca White, when she said, "We will remove poker machines from pubs and clubs. We will provide what is effectively a just transition for the industry through some compensation measures, but we believe that it will create substantial social and economic benefits if we remove poker machines from pubs and clubs." Well, Madam Speaker, not that long ago, the Leader of the Opposition went on statewide radio and made it really clear that the industry has won. The industry not only got the government at board, it now has the opposition that it wanted, Madam Speaker. Now, the reason that we believe Parliament needs to have this debate today, and it will have it again, is because there is, according to the Treasurer, now around a year before the legislation comes back to this place that would revoke the deed and embed the toxically dangerous individual licensing model. That is the licensing model that the former Gaming Commissioner, Peter Holt, said would cause substantially more harm than the current monopoly deed, Madam Speaker. And who wheeled out the former Gaming Commissioner? Well, Labor's Treasury spokesperson, Mr Bacon, in the lead up to the election. Now, Madam Speaker, you can understand why people get jaded and cynical about politicians. You can understand why people think we say one thing and then do another after the election. That's because the major parties in Tasmania and in Australia do just that. Now, on gambling policy, the Liberals' position has substantially shifted from the original position, which was for a price-based market mechanism. Then we had the Joint Select Committee, where Federal and the THA put in their proposal, which was adopted not long after by the Liberals in government. And the use of the word individual venue model in their policy document, this is the Liberals, is a shift towards the language used in the THA and Federal Group joint submission and away from their market mechanism approach. So we can see what's happened here, Madam Speaker. The Federal Group and the THA have paid for a Liberal win, and they've got the policy they want, along with an extra $6.8 million in funding to the Tasmanian Hospitality Association. We can see what's happened now in the Labor Party. At a federal level, the ALP secures about $700,000 to $800,000 a year from poker machines. The Labor Party, nationally, is heavily reliant on the money that comes out of the pockets of some of Australia's most marginalised, impoverished people. The Labor Party should hang its head in shame, and they should stand there with the Liberals, because you are both as contemptible as each other on this social and economic issue.
Thank you.